welcome everybody to another episode of Recovery Revolution Live. Glad to have you guys. We are actually down a co host tonight. Carl got stuck at work. So for right now, it's just me and Ashley, and he may or may not be joining us later. Not 100% sure on that. Um, but anyway, our guest tonight is named Chris Thompson. He is a serial entrepreneur and he is the creator of the Sober Sidekick app. He started that in 2018 and they have almost 100,000 members on the app. So we're excited to have Chris on tonight. It's going to be a good episode. Ashley, how are you doing tonight? Oh, you're on mute.
I'm good. How about you? I'm trying to fix my sound.
Oh
The
no,
wrong
you're,
one on.
you're sorry. You're good. I guess I could have done it like Carl does and played like all the bougie music and done like a whole radio talk show intro thing, but I just wasn't feeling that tonight. I was just gonna just cut to the chase, you know.
Well, it's weird. It was working before fine, and now it's coming through my speaker of my computer instead of, I don't know. I'll figure it out.
We will figure it out. We'll figure it out. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and bring Chris on without any further ado. So welcome to the show, Chris.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm grateful to be here. Yeah, I'm
Absolutely,
excited.
man. Glad to have you on the show tonight. If you wouldn't mind, maybe you could tell us a little bit about how you started the app, where the idea came from, how it all came together. I mean, I know for me, I've had ideas of making apps before, and that's about as far as they get. Is oh, that'd be really cool if that existed, and then I don't ever pursue it any further.
Yeah. So I want to start out with how personal this is to me as someone who spent years trapped in addiction. I found myself at my lowest point Thanksgiving Day 2018. I had woken up on the sidewalk for like the fourth day in a row. It rained. I was shaking, going through DTs, all those different things, all the different places that addiction can take us. And, that was my day one of sobriety, you know. And looking back, I realized that alcohol, drugs, they were always the solution to my problem. They were the solution to the fact that I felt like the thoughts going on in my head were too dark, too scary to share with another human being. So alcohol, drugs were the only coping mechanism I had. I couldn't connect with other humans, couldn't feel comfortable in my own skin. And, as I got started in my recovery journey and as some of the walls started to break down and as, I started to discover, the version of myself that I was striving to be, after I really, started my comeback story, which everyone who's in recovery, I view you as the most epic comeback story the world's ever going to hear. And as I got further along in my comeback story in recovery, I asked myself, is there a way through technology to create a place where people help people at scale? Because I know that the opposite of addiction is connection. So how can we make those human to human connections real? How can we make it scalable? How can we make it real time? How can we make it always accessible? Because there's 22 million Americans who are just like me, chronically suffering, and too many of them go their entire life without getting help. So we built Sober Sidekick to open the door to recovery, to empower people to be vulnerable, to show people that no matter where they are in their recovery journey, their experience has value for others. So yeah, that's a little bit of what we're all about here.
That's awesome, man. And I pulled a little promo video that you guys had on YouTube. So I don't know. At some point, I figure we'll probably play that. I think it's like 30 seconds.
Mhm.
So what is that process like? I assume that it takes more than one person to develop an app. There's probably a team involved and probably some financing and all kinds of stuff that we don't think about when it comes to an app. So what does that whole process look like?
Yeah. So year one of Sober Sidekick, it was just me um, building it. in the garage of a sober living. Um, so it had very humble beginnings, but what kept me going was there was no cash. I had no cash at the time. I was literally like, I started building it day 30 of my sobriety journey, and launched the first version day 60 of my sobriety journey. But what kept me going was I launched it day one, and no marketing, no nothing, and I saw a random person in Texas give support to like a random person in like North Carolina, like two people I'd never met, using the platform to uplift each other. And that was all I needed to know, like, this is obviously the first version of any app is a shitty app, but it
Right.
gave me the motivation, it gave me what I needed to build on top of it. And, I've released hundreds of versions since then, listening to user feedback, optimizing for, people's wellness, because the thing about the app, I guess you asked a little bit about the process of building an app. Really you're building a psychological experience, and the key thing that we intend to communicate in the experience that we build is empathy. Empathy, meeting people where they're at, humanity. So, it was just me um, building it, talking to users. I was on the phone with users every day, learning what, could make it better, and learning about what they're going through. And 2 years later, I found myself with 10,000 members, and, still no cash. But, I'm working other jobs, keeping it going, maintaining it. And I brought on two business partners. One's also named Chris, and one's name is Jake. And we turned this into a business plan. Um, and we, over the course of 2021, we grew it from 10,000 members to now almost 100,000 members. We're at 95,000 members right now.
Wow.
And we were able to generate some revenue, which we hired Brian, who's the director of our user resource center. And we, like, our perspective is, if we aren't taking every opportunity to talk to our members, to listen, then we're failing. And that's Brian's full-time job, and my part-time job is talking and listening, and just understanding where people are at, showing empathy. Yeah, and our mission is, big, bold, scary, but we want to generate 22 million comeback stories, real life comeback stories, as a result of people helping people.
I love that. So for people that aren't familiar with the app, what kind of resources do you have on there, and what kind of things can they do on this app?
Yeah, so the most valuable aspect of this app, when I say people helping people, it's not sometimes, it's every time. So no member has ever written a post on Sober Sidekick with that, without at least one of their peers reaching out with support, feedback, advice. Because we built this thing, we call it our empathy algorithm. It's an algorithm where if I write a post on Sober Sidekick is going to find multiple members to respond with support, multiple members at different stages of their sobriety journey. So in fact, on average, for every member who writes a post on Sober Sidekick, they receive comments of feedback, support, and advice for 6.8 other members. And this is the community aspect, that has led to members saying, like, it saved their life. If I'm thinking about drinking at 3:30 in the afternoon and I post on Sober Sidekick, by 3:45, I'm probably going to have 5 or 6 people who have already reached out to me, showed me empathy, and gave me the strength to keep going. So it's the intentionality of the platform and the empathy algorithm that really drives everything. From app perspective, you'll see main feed looks similar to Instagram. People post, people comment, people send each other empathy badges. You track your sober time. You can join a 24/7 AA Zoom meeting. There's motivational resources. Brian, who directs our user resource center, if you ever reach out to him, his job is to find you the best resources you can in your area, whether it's an AA meeting list or, knowing what the good treatment centers are in different areas of the country, things like that. But really, the bottom line, it's the peer-to-peer support that is really what changes, everything here.
That's awesome. It reminds me, have you ever heard of the benches that they put outside schools so if a kid's feeling sad or bullied, they can sit on the bench and somebody will come sit next to them so that they're not alone? Like reminds me of that concept.
I didn't know that, but yeah, that's really interesting. And yeah, like the opposite of addiction is isolation, and yeah, never alone is that's something we have like on so many of our screens in our app, because that's just, I know for me, that's why I fell into as dark of a place as I did, is, I felt like I was alone. I felt like a complete failure. I felt like I had been eliminated from life, like I was on the outside looking in. And, so many people feel that way. And it's that feeling that keeps them from being what they're capable of being,
Yeah. Normalizing the conversation, because the things in our head are scary and we think they're so huge. When you talk to someone else and they're like, oh, yeah, that happened to me last week too. It's like, it normalizes it.
Yeah, me too. Me too is like just such a powerful statement. Someone says I'm depressed and you're like, I've been there. Someone said, I got my second DUI. I've been there. Empathy. Completely agree.
It makes me laugh that you said the opposite of addiction is connection, because I said that on my very first time on the show and I got crap. Like, that's not the opposite. I'm like, it is. And then you're like the third person that's come on since that said that. And I'm like, just keep proving the point.
Yeah. Who gave you crap about that? I need to talk to them.
You can talk to them right now.
Was it me?
And Carl.
Oh, I don't remember that. But I have this strange feeling that you're seeing the list of the upcoming guests and you're messaging them like, hey, just be sure to say that the opposite of addiction is connection at least once on the show.
Well,
it's too much of a coincidence.
Yeah, well, you can if you download Sober Sidekick, you'll see that for the last year, the first message that goes out to our users is me saying I built this app because my addiction thrives in isolation. So that's like literally the first message I send to every user who downloads the platform. So Ashley couldn't have conspired all of that.
Well, our theme this year for our conference is You Are Not Alone. So like I might have paid you before this to say some of this stuff.
True. I guess we'll never know. It's going to be a mystery. Maybe a Netflix documentary someday.
There you go.
So
it's a conspiracy theory. I know
it. Right. What's the opposite of addiction? I want to hear you say it.
Me?
Yeah.
I said it before. I said it on another podcast the other day.
Mm-hmm.
I quoted you.
Oh.
On another podcast. And I said the opposite of addiction is connection.
Awesome. I'm rubbing off. It's good.
You are. I need Carl to back me up, though. Heather's in the comments saying that I did. I don't remember that. I'm going to have to rewatch that episode and find that section.
Thank you, Heather. It's good when girls have each other's backs. So did you know how to code before you started, or did you teach yourself, or how did you?
Yeah. So this wasn't the first app that I built. My first startup, we built an app for undiscovered musicians, and it crashed and burned epically. It went viral on Twitter. 40,000 downloads came in like the first hour and a half, and then it just crashed for everyone. And I was 21 when that happened, and that was what motivated me to learn how to code myself, because I had gotten lucky enough to get some funding to hire some people, and when it completely failed, that was my sign that I need to learn how to code, because I know I have other ideas that I want to work on in the future. So yeah, I had taught myself. It was like a 4-year process of banging my head against the wall. Um, but when the time came to build Sober Sidekick, it was all worth it. All worth it.
Yeah, that's a whole nother language. But
yeah,
luckily there's low code and no code platforms for people like me that don't know how to code.
yeah, there are. Bubble.io is a good one. I've used that one before. Um, yeah, it's fun though. It's for me, it's like a form of art. You get to try ideas out and fail a bunch of times, and then it finally works and you're excited. There's a little dopamine rush that comes from it. So, and then seeing people in real life, in the real world, using it, that's what makes my day, you know, especially, hearing people's stories of how it impacted their life. Um, that's all, that's gold to me. Because, I work a 12-step program. And, for me, I know that service is where true happiness can be found. And I know that service validates my suffering from the past, because in the past, in those 4 years of being trapped, I'm always asking myself, like, what's the point in all this? What's the point? And now I know what the point was, and it's to be of service to others. So yeah, I'm just grateful that all aspects of my life are pointed towards recovery. Um, my work, you know, my day to day. Not always. I'm human and I have an ego that gets in the way sometimes. But yeah, I'm just grateful for the life that I've been given.
Yeah, gratefulness is huge, just like services. I mean, there's studies on it. It increases your happiness. It's a great thing to be. Hope and grateful. Those are my two favorites.
Yeah.
Hope's my favorite 4-letter word. That was my favorite saying.
That's my second favorite.
What's your first?
I can't say it on the air. We might get in trouble.
What's your third?
Oh, I don't know about third. But no, I can totally relate to those same kind of feelings though of like getting messages from people that have like been touched by a specific podcast episode or something, been like, hey, that was like right, that was like the perfect time, like that was right when I needed to hear that message, and it makes all that behind the scenes stuff that nobody sees worth it. It's like I'm glad I spent 6 hours working on that episode for that one person to send that message, and that message just like meant so much. So I can totally relate to that whole idea of like seeing your work in the real world and people appreciating it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, and the cool thing is it's not really about me, it's about the
Right.
community,
Right.
because it's people helping people, like, I mean, I was on a group Zoom with some of our users, because like we schedule time to just meet and chat, and no agenda, just listen. um, and I was talking to a few users, and there was one person with like 15 days sober and one person who was on day one, and the person on 15 who had 15 days sober was just giving gold advice to the day one person, and just showing the value of her own experience. And
Mm.
then the person on day one was learning that her experience though on day one is valuable to everyone else here. And that's what, if you download our app and you scroll through the feed, that's exactly what you see, hundreds of times a day, with people all over the world. And the
Mm-hmm.
coolest part about it is it's strangers helping strangers, calling each other family. So like, I mean, I think that's the coolest part is it's not about me. I'm just the person who's lucky enough to get to work on it behind the scenes, but it's about the people and people helping people. That's what I believe in.
Yeah, communities heal each other. That's how, healing happens. Can't do it alone. Got there alone. Can't solve it the same way you got there.
Hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, I love it. I love everything you're saying. Brett knows he's laughing because he's like, she says this crap all the time. Don't I, Brett?
You do say it all the time.
Mm-hmm. So you can just keep talking because you're doing great. And I don't have to talk because you're saying all the right things.
I appreciate that. I mean, I just listen to people who are smarter and wiser and more experienced than me talk, and sometimes it comes out. I read a lot. I mean, what I've learned from my own recovery experience is, I'm not a better person than I was before. I'm not a stronger person. I've just had a change of perspective and found a better way of life. And I think, it's always being willing to, challenge, an existing perspective. And that's also what we see within our community, because when people download the app and they post about how it's day one and they feel like a failure and, their wife left them or this or that, and they're immediately surrounded by people who are like, I've been there, it gets better. You're going to be, one day you're going to look back on today and realize that, this was the most defining moment of your life. And, it's that perspective shift that people get to have as a result of community that is most powerful, because it was way harder for me to be an alcoholic drug addict. It was way harder. I had to wake up with the shakes in the morning and figure out how I'm going to heal myself, hopefully well enough to go to work, but not well enough where I skip work and do something stupid. Um, it was work, and it's way less work to be sober. It's just about intentionality, and that's the perspective that we're able to get through community, connecting with others. And then also, there's no better way to get out of self-pity than being of support to someone else, and connecting with someone else regardless of where you're at, because we all have something of value to give to someone else. um and I know self-pity is something that can get me from time to time. You get in this trap where you're like, I work so hard and do this and that, and nothing ever goes my way. These stories we tell ourselves, but it's all stories we tell ourselves. And if we let the inner roommate keep talking, things get miserable. But all we have to do is connect with others, and that's just our mission, to make it easy as possible for people to connect. They can be anonymous if they want to on our platform, or they can be open. It's completely up to them. And that's just what you know that's what really gets me, is just seeing people day one admitting they have a problem for the first time in their life within minutes of downloading our app. And that just speaks to the community and the people there who are active supporters. There's Sober Sidekick users who write 50 to 100 positive comments a day. We have a top users section of our app where like the people who are giving the most support are recognized. Yeah, so anyone who's in recovery is a superhero, and there's sober sidekicks everywhere. So
Can't do it alone.
nope. Opposite of addiction is connection, right, Brett?
That's right.
What's the opposite of addiction, Brett?
I believe it's connection.
Okay, just making
That's
sure.
what I've heard.
Love it.
Brett, you're gonna have to go to Mobilize this year.
Yeah, I got to get accepted first. I got to fill out the application first. That's the first step, is doing my part in the whole process.
It's not on there yet.
I know I've looked
Oh, I'll let you
because
know when
you
it's
and
on.
Jr. gave me a hard time about it, and after the show was over, I went and looked, and I was like, I can't find this application that they're talking about. It doesn't exist. How far out do they? How far out is it when the application becomes available?
Probably pretty soon. I think last year was in April.
Okay, okay.
But they'll probably have more in person this year than they did last year too, so that'll help.
And how long is it? Is it a weekend or is it a full week?
It was like 3 days.
Okay, I can probably swing that for
Have you
a
ever heard
week.
of Mobilize, Chris?
I have it. Enlighten me.
Oh, Mobilize Recovery. It's in Las Vegas at the Westgate.
Mm.
Um, there's all kinds of stuff there. Let me find the link. Hold on a second. Oh,
There's
there you go.
JR in the
Vegas.
comments.
Vegas.
Yeah, there was so many great people there. Met the best people like JR. Oops, okay.
Shameless
I should know
plug
this stuff.
for JR. You're looking for the website for Mobilize?
Yeah.
Oh, I had it pulled up at one point. I can't remember what it
Um,
is now.
mobilizerecovery.org.
Well,
That
that's
would have
easy
been.
enough. I thought I might still have it in the banners because I have like 1,000 banners saved over here on
It's
for the show.
mobilizerecovery.org.
Nice. I should probably delete some of these that are irrelevant. Mobilizerecovery.org.
But there was like talks about advocacy. There was trainings on telling your story in 5 minutes or less and with an ask. Diversity, equity, inclusion for the Inclusivity Caucus. There was government leaders. Just everything. And then Greg
Yeah,
Williams
this
had
looks.
his. What was that? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying this looks really cool. Yeah, I want to learn more.
Yeah, it was amazing. And you meet the best people because they're all in recovery. It's like, this is probably a bad comparison, but like, growing up, we'd go to church camp, like, each year, and you'd like go, and everyone was, it was just like you came back and like it was just like amazing. But so you go, and it's like recovery camp, like everyone's in recovery. It's like everyone's on fire for recovery. So
Mm-hmm.
it was fun.
Yeah, like-minded people, like-minded mission. Love it.
Mobilize will take applications a few months prior to September.
I assume that's JR
I think.
commenting.
Wasn't it in April last year, JR, that it opened?
How many people did they accept for the in-person portion?
Last year, I think it was like 200 or 250 because of COVID. And they had it online last year too. Like, so they had it hybrid. And then the year before it was all online. And then the year before that was all in person. So who knows what they have up their sleeve.
Hmm.
It will be good though, I promise.
I would like
And
to go. I've never been to Vegas.
that was my first time. And I never, like, I didn't want to gamble or anything. Not that I have a problem with gambling, but it was like, there was no urge. It's so funny. You're like surrounded by this stuff, and no, you're with recovery people. They didn't care. It's nice.
I think we should play the little promo videos. What I think.
Promo for Mobilize. JR
No,
will be
for
proud if we do that.
I
Oh,
don't have a
his. Oh,
I don't have a promo for Mobilize. I was talking about the Sober Sidekick.
yeah. It's
What is
really
that?
hard for me to hear you. Can you hear him?
Yeah, I can hear. I can hear.
It's
I can
you.
hear
It's
you
your
fine, but
headphones.
I can't hear him.
It's your headphones.
But why can I hear him and not you?
I don't know.
Oh,
Because you choose
okay.
to ignore me. You probably muted me or something. Like that guy didn't know what he's talking about. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and play this short little promo video.
Addiction thrives in isolation. With Sober Sidekick, you're never alone. Easily track your sober time and goals because this is your comeback story. Sober Sidekick is the growing social network designed to promote empathy, courage, and hope, so you never forget why you started. Find support just for you by connecting with a sober network and leave the past behind. Because if you're hanging on by a thread, look up, not down. Take back control with Sober Sidekick. We've got your back.
Nice. Oh,
Yeah.
My wife says I'm really quiet too, and I also just saw on the doorbell that she ordered pizza.
Can you hear me?
Why would she do that to me? Yes, we heard you just then when you said, "Can you hear me?" Can you hear us? Am I still really here? I'll turn my mic up even more so you can hear my chair squeak and stuff.
Yeah. There we go. There we
There you
go.
go. And I can hear like my chair squeak when I move. Oh, that's sweet. She said the pizza will be waiting for me. How nice. It'll be
Aw.
cold. It'll probably be cold. That's okay.
That wasn't very nice of you. You should just say thank you.
I am grateful. I love pizza. I'll eat pizza cold. I'll eat pizza hot. It
I like
sounds
cold
like it's
pizza.
going to like a Dr. Seuss rhyme or something.
Yeah. Yeah. And it solves the hungry part of halt. So never
It
get
does.
hungry, angry. Are you angry?
Cold pizza is good for breakfast or dinner.
Yeah. Yeah.
In a boat.
Yeah.
On
True.
a boat.
None of these things can be proven false.
In the pocket of my coat. I'm trying to rhyme because she said boat.
So I want to know if you've done like studies and stuff, around your podcast and the benefits of it.
App.
The app, Sober Sidekick. Yeah. Yeah. So so one of the things with our app is it allows users to track their sober time and keep each other accountable around their goals. And, one of the things that we discovered through our platform, which is not surprising to me at all, is that the more support you give others, the better chance you have at staying sober. And that's why we, added as much as we could when it came to like empathy badges and gamification around giving others support, because it's such an important part of life. So like our users who are giving support 30, 50, sometimes 100 times a day, all of their content is positive. Not all of it, because people are human and sometimes people are vulnerable and sometimes people have bad days, but they're with everything we're seeing from the behavioral data, the more you put into your recovery in this platform, the more you get out of it. And as a team, we work really, really hard to just limit the barriers of human connection, because there's some people who don't have meetings that they can go to in their town, or there's some people who are in different countries, or there's some people who, because of health issues, they can't really connect, and then for some people it's 3 o'clock in the morning and there's no one that they can call, and the urge is like intense. So yeah, I'm seeing a comment from a Facebook user. I want to know more and how to start. So you can find Sober Sidekick in the App Store. It's available on iOS and Android. If you just type in Sober Sidekick in the search bar, will come up right there, and you'll be able to download. It's free, and sign up and immediately connect with us. And I'm like, we're a small team. We're just 3 founders and 1 employee. So like we're also very accessible, so if anyone ever, has feedback for me, or anyone has questions, or even like I'll just have conversations with anyone who downloads, and or anyone in general, because I feel like anyone who's also in recovery is also like me, and I can relate to them. So I anyone who wants to join, it's free. We're here, we're in this together. I want to know what your thoughts are, and we're always open to feedback. We build new features all the time as a result of things that have been suggested to us. So yeah, anyone who wants to join us, welcome.
I'm downloading it right now. Oh,
Love
there
it.
is.
I previously downloaded it and I cannot figure out my login.
Make
It
a new
signed
one.
me out and I can't figure out what it is. I pulled it up when we first started the show and I was like, oh no, it signed me out, and I have no idea what my username is or anything. Fail.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's one thing that I will be working on, is just making it easier for people to get back in once they
Nice.
kick themselves out.
Yeah, I
You
have
know,
to go through. I have to go through
that's
all
on my
my.
list.
Yeah, I have to go through all my different email addresses and try to find like the welcome email to figure out maybe what my username was.
Do you just like
Yeah.
search in your email?
I do, but I have so many different inboxes and they're not all linked to the same mail app. It's kind of a pain. I need to work on that.
Just make a new login with a different email address. It'll
Yeah,
be fine.
yeah, I could, but well, I posted some stuff on there. I posted some pictures and some stuff on there, so I'd like to get back
Can't
on
do
that
anything with it if
username.
you can't get on. So
I'll figure it out. I'll figure it
No,
out.
Brett, I can help you offline. So
Nice.
I can help you offline. So
you might know the
I
creator.
I do this 5 times a day probably. So yeah,
Nice.
yeah, yeah. But I'm not gonna help you reset your password on there.
Oh,
So
just broadcast it to everybody. It's fine.
yeah, yeah.
The Facebook user said, "Yay, thank y'all so much. This is exactly what I've been looking for in my life."
Awesome. I didn't know that people could comment on the video anonymously. That's pretty cool to know.
I didn't know that either.
It's the first time I've ever seen it happen, so that's cool. Good to know.
Yeah, and once again, you can stay anonymous if you want on Sober Sidekick, or you can be yourself. Yeah, but anonymity is such a huge part of vulnerability in the beginning. Sometimes, the projection that we feel we need to maintain for others is what limits us from, you know, getting help and getting support. So, if you if you if you are just looking to explore, maybe not sure what role substance abuse plays in your life, or what level, even though there's not really levels, feel free to join also. No one's going to force you to post. No one's going to force you to comment. Sometimes it's just reading other people's stories and seeing what other people are going through. One of the things about Sober Sidekick that I love is most of the posts aren't necessarily about drinking or not drinking. It's about life. It's about dealing with the ups and downs of life. It's about, I lost the job or I got the job, all the things we used to drink over. I had a kid, I lost a parent, my friend and I, we got in an argument and we aren't close anymore, this and that. It's all these things that we used to drink and use over that people are talking about openly within the platform, and guiding each other in the right direction, because I believe internally, deep down inside, we all sort of know where our true north is, but sometimes it's hard to hear with the internal roommate and the cravings and the negative thoughts and all these different things. And yeah, sometimes we just need to take a breath, relate to others, and know that there's more to life than how we might feel in this moment right now.
And that's so powerful, because you think if you have the racing thoughts, when you stop to help somebody else, or you read what they say, or you want to respond, that slows those brain thoughts down. So it makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome, man. So what are the plans for future updates? Do you have any new features in the works? Anything you any like upcoming things that you can give us some spoilers on?
Yeah, some spoilers. So for one, I'm excited. We we I mean, this might have been a bad decision, but so far it's paying off. We hired an agency in the Ukraine right before the war started. Hired an agency in the Ukraine who are experts in design. So like within the next 60 days, we're gonna have like an even cleaner, even smoother version of the app with all the same features, but in a, just elevating what we already have. And then we're also working on video features, and we want to, make it easier, think similar to Reels or Sober TikTok, something like that. That's another thing we're working on. And then probably one of the bigger things that'll be coming out soon is groups. So like within our platform right now, it's kind of one huge, gigantic collective community supporting each other from all different directions. But we're going to have groups coming out soon where different members can form different groups around certain topics like gratitude groups or coping with loss groups or different things like that. And once again, what I love about this community is it's run by the people. Like I like every once in a while, once a month, we have like 5 to 10,000 new users a month. It's like once or twice a month where I have to remove a user for being, breaking terms and conditions, bullying, something like that. But the crazy thing is like it's literally like 1 in 5,000. The other 4,999 are all positive members of this community, and it's really a community that runs itself, guides itself because no individual has enough recovery to share to the world. It's just like people together doing it, and there's nothing more powerful than the experience one alcoholic, one addict, one human has to give to another. So groups will be coming out, and yeah, and we're just going to continue to listen, continue to interact, continue to iterate, and until there's 22 million comeback stories, we aren't going to be stopping. That's our mission. So.
Well, I think it's a great business plan. I'm in business school right now, and it's like you either can change your whole business model, but then you lose what worked. Like you got here for a reason, so you're just improving on what you already have. You're keeping the things, your values the same. What people love about the platform, it's a great business model.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for us it's a human experience that we're trying to create. Like, I didn't know it was going to turn into what it turned into when it started. First 2 years, it was just me, working, moonlighting, coding at midnight and going to work and then getting home and then coding till midnight, because it's just, what I felt the world just needed was just more empathy, more connection. And yeah, we just want to create the best experience possible because, I've seen people die from this. I've been the I've been the first person to find someone after they passed. This is real to me. I've been to way too many funerals of people in their 20s because of this. And regardless, and the rest of our team feels the same way, and that's why we're just everything we possibly can do is what we need to do. So yeah, and that's why I also appreciate people like you, Brett, Ashley, Carl, who also just understand how real this is, and devoting your life to, having a clear mission towards helping others, and knowing that you're here, to impact others, and to hopefully change lives, and I'm sure you've changed many, many, many already. So I commend you guys, for your mission.
Well, we commend you for yours, giving purpose to the pain. And I saw Jason, he's a Mobilize Recovery person. He said, "Thank you for your service, Chris."
Thank you. Yeah, no, I'm just lucky. I'm lucky. I was never this happy when I was drinking and using. So yeah, nothing but gratitude.
We're all pretty lucky that we're here.
Yeah. 100%.
And it makes the hard days better when you're just stop and think, I'm so lucky to be here. And then it just changes everything.
Yeah. If I'm not shaking, or hallucinating, DTs, all that. I mean, it's so easy to forget, how bad it was. And that's another reason why connection is so important. I've multiple, I'm 3 years into my recovery journey, so still new to this, but connecting with people on day one is so important for me. I need to remember what it was like for me, and I need to have the humility to know that I'm just one drink away from going right back there. And that's another thing about Sober Sidekick that's cool, is the people who have 5 years on it, who wake up in the morning and the first thing they do is give support to someone on 10 days. It's all the people who recognize that, how important it is to, be there and be connected to the newcomer, because we're all just one bad day away from that, if we get cocky. So
even if you don't get cocky, it happens.
Yeah.
You can ask Brett. It happened to me recently. I'm almost at 5 years, and it was just, I've done a lot of work, and there was an anniversary of something, and it was the first time I'd actually felt it. It's my go-to coping mechanism for so long was to numb. And so then when it hurt, I wanted to numb, but it really, the thing that saved me was saying, I want to numb, and others saying, yeah, I felt that way too. And that it just clicked.
Yeah. No, that makes 100% sense. And yeah, I mean, I've definitely had quite a few bad days where that temptation to numb is real, and it's just fuck it, but yeah, I mean, I have so much respect for the people who have a slip and then get right back up and get right into it. I think that's more impressive than the people who never slip, because it's hard, I mean, I was a chronic, I had so many relapses before this time around, and it's so hard to get back up, so yeah, nothing but respect, and yeah, it could happen to any of us, and yeah, that's also what I love about the recovery community is we don't shoot our wounded, we lift each other up. So yeah, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of people feel that way about relapse. It's shameful. And guess what? Shame is what got us there. So if we continue to be in shame, we're going to, so you have to, grow and learn that you learn something from it. And I can tell you, I hated that when they first started. Relapse is a part of recovery. Well, they were right. I was wrong when I said it wasn't. But, you learn something and you're better next time for it.
Yeah, and all we have is today. you know? And sometimes in recovery, it's easy to get this idea that like the amount of time you have is a status. It's like
Mm-hmm.
so easy to fall into that and believe that. But like what nobody knows is how many years are ahead of us. You know, like, would you rather be the person who has 30 years and is on has 3 days left in recovery, or would you rather be the person who's on day three who has 40 years ahead of them? You know, so like it's so easy to. I mean, it's cool. It's cool to be able to look back on, but it actually doesn't mean anything because it's all about, you know, who we are today and how willing are we to grow today that will determine our future. And, you know, also a lot of people, you know, they they get stuck in recovery and don't necessarily relapse, but might stop growing, you know, versus like, you know, staying grounded and staying connected, you know. So yeah, I definitely relate. And it's, yeah, yeah. Brett, what do you think?
What do I think? Man, I'm loving the points that you're bringing up. I mean, like you said, it's so easy to fall into that state of complacency, and it's so easy to forget what it was like when we were using. You brought that up
Hmm.
a few minutes ago, and that to me, I was actually having that thought the other day. I was at work and I was driving. I had a long drive in front of me, and I was like, man, I haven't really thought about what it was like when I was using in so long. And there was something, I can't remember what it was, but I passed by something that like brought back this memory from active addiction. And it was like, wow, it's like, it's been a long time since I've really thought about just the way that I was living, and those feelings and emotions, and thinking about just like that desperation, and some of those feelings that we have, like, just the loneliness and the
Mm,
isolation and all these different feelings, and it brought me back to that. And I was like, man, I need to go back to that place of remembering what it was like more often, because I just get I can get so caught up in my day-to-day life and the busyness, and going to work and coming home and spending time with my family, and just like all these all these great things, not to
mm,
knock any of that. Like I'm blessed to live the life that I have today. But it's so easy to forget where we came from, and like you mentioned, how easy it would be to go back to that.
mhm,
I forget that I'm one away from going back to where I was. And it's a great reminder, and I appreciate you bringing that up. And like I said a second ago, that you were talking about, just that complacency. It's so easy, at least in my own personal experience, to get to a point where things are good. I'm comfortable where I'm at. Like, it's smooth sailing, and it's so easy just to like put the brake on and just want to stay there, and not want to continue to do that hard work and work on yourself and look at some of those things that you don't like.
mm,
And I feel like I fall into that trap all the time of like, life is good, things are going well, I'm just going to hang out here for a little while, and I have to wait for that pain to motivate me. And then it's like, oh, I need to get back into some step work. I need to do whatever that next thing is. But it's just so easy to fall into that complacency, man.
mhm,
Well, and I think it's important you change over time. You sometimes you
Mm,
have to change your circle. You have to change. If you go to a certain type of meeting, maybe that's not where you fit anymore. Maybe you've grown and there's a different type, or you learned something, or there's a new resource that comes to your town. I mean, there's a million different things, but it's wanting to learn, wanting to grow. Those are
mhm.
the keys.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And yeah, that's like when I get stuck in like the trap of guilt and shame, which happens like all the time. Um, like I always try to ask myself, like, or like decide, like make a decision, like I'm only going to judge myself today based on my willingness to learn and grow through these experiences. And if I embrace that perspective, like there's I can't lose that day, you know, because it's just an opportunity to learn and grow. But if I get into fear, or if I get into ego and I think I got to make this happen, I got to make that happen, that's when that's when I unravel a little bit. And also complacency, Brett. I relate to that. Also, you know, I when things are stable, good, for too long, I start to forget like how I got there, and I start, and then I start to create, you know, I start to create problems in my own mind and lead to dissatisfaction, restless, irritable, discontent, um, and yeah, like you said, pain as a motivator, um, so yeah, but yeah, the more plugged in I am to my community, the more I'm reaching out to others, the more I'm connected, the more I'm being of service, the less I have to worry about that. Um, but yeah, we all kind of ebb and flow, and you know, we get feedback from life. Sometimes we get restless, irritable, and discontent, and that's feedback. It's like, well, I go to any meetings? Was I of service? Did I reach out to anybody? And it's like, no, no, no. But it's like, okay, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
and then just adapt, and guilt and shame isn't really necessary because it's just feedback,
Yeah, and showing up. I mean, tonight, like, it was like I didn't have time to brush my hair, put makeup on. I was like, I'm gonna look a mess, but so my option was to look a mess or not show up. So, the perfectionism in me just had to go away. So, show up.
Yeah, and don't feel too bad. I only beat you by a few minutes. I got on and it was just Carl and Chris talking, and Carl was at work, and then he's like, "Oh, Brett's on. All right, bye." It's like, okay, bye. I barely made it on tonight as well.
I always barely make it on, let's be honest.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like 8 o'clock here when it starts, and like on Thursdays I have meetings like starting work till 5, and then the first one starts at 5, the next one's at 5:30, the next one's at 6:30, and then so I get off of that like 7. But yeah, so
But you showed up.
I did.
Suited up,
Yeah.
showed up.
Brene Brown will tell you. Jason, who commented earlier, he's a big fan of Brene Brown too. And I bet you've read something from her because of some of the stuff you've said about shame. Or have you not?
Yeah, I've been meaning to for a long time. I've listened to a few of her podcasts. Yeah, I need to. She's on my list. I've been reading a lot of Eckhart Tolle. My favorite recent book that I've read is called The Untethered Soul. But everyone tells me I need to read Brene Brown, so I think I think I think you were the nail in the coffin. I have to read it now. So yeah.
You will it's enlightening. You understand the world
Mhm.
so much better instead of like, when someone's acting out or they're doing something, then you're like, well, maybe there was a trauma that's causing, as you start thinking it, and then you empathize instead of getting mad at the reaction. So it's pretty life-changing.
Yeah, my girlfriend raves about her all the time. So
Your girlfriend sounds pretty smart.
she is.
She's super new.
Yeah, she is. She's sitting right there.
Hi, girlfriend.
They say hi.
Okay.
She says hi back. They said she sounds really smart.
So are you gonna
She
start?
smiled.
Are you gonna start the book club, Ashley? You discussed it.
I know. I want to, but I just joined my 5th board of directors, and those are all volunteer.
Overachiever.
Yeah, a little bit. So I can't.
Well, you could be the board of directors at the book club.
No. No, if it was a book club, it's going to be not board of directors, not
Oh,
rules.
do you need like a fancier title? We can make you like the
No.
president of the book club.
No. I don't need another title.
The
I would like to just,
vice chair.
no.
I'm trying to think of like a fancy sounding title. You could be the CEO of the book club.
She could be the lit chick.
There you go.
Mm.
Ashley
What
is
did
our go-to
JR
when it
pay
comes
you?
to recovery books. I feel like you read more recovery books than anyone else.
I like to read.
I'm more of an audiobook kind of guy.
Oh, no. I like to read, and I don't like I have a Kindle, and I read, sometimes on my phone, but it's just not the same as having like a book in your hand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm also more audiobooks. Yeah, I mean, being able to drive and walk. Yeah, I think my problem is I can't sit still. I have a hard time sitting still sometimes. But yeah.
That's a thing that stops my mind from going a million miles an hour. And podcast, I've tuned them out.
Yeah, well,
audiobooks, all that stuff. TV.
Here you are on a podcast, and you're
Yep,
here.
and
You're present. You suited up.
I don't listen to it after.
You are officially a podcaster, Ashley. You can add that to your titles of your wall of fame.
There's no wall.
Well, there should be.
No.
You can add it to your LinkedIn profile. Podcast host or hostess.
So the thing is I hate video and I hate being like on microphone and talking in front of people. So it's like the funniest thing. Makes me super anxious.
We've seen the growth. You've come out of your shell and you're being
still
of service.
Awkward.
It's okay. We're all awkward.
I know. I'm not
so
mad.
awkward. Come on.
Oh yeah. Funny story. So like I'm in this business boot camp, like learning a lot and about leadership and different things. Today we were talking about like public speaking, and we were all forced to sing out loud into the whole Zoom for 15 seconds, and he claimed that was the easiest way to get over public speaking fears. And it actually sort of worked. It sort of worked, and I'm a horrible singer, and I did it anyway. But actually, I relate to the anxiety for sure.
What song did you sing?
Well, question for you. You're from Texas. Are you a Cowboys fan?
I'm not really a big sports guy in general.
Okay, good. Because if you were a Cowboys fan, I would have offended you by singing "Fly Eagles Fly."
Okay.
I'm a Bills fan, so I'm not a Cowboys fan either.
That's neutral. No one hates the Bills.
Yeah, maybe if they win a Super Bowl, people start hating them. But until then, nobody hates them.
All right. So, what song are you gonna sing, Ashley?
I'm not singing.
This is how you overcome fear once and for all. You'll never have fear again.
I'm holding on to my fear.
Sing "Get Your Hygiene On" from last week's episode.
No.
Call back.
No, it's not happening.
All right, I respect it.
Yeah, you're braver than me.
Peer
on
pressure.
that.
I didn't have a choice. There were going to be strong ramifications if I didn't. So
you gotta love those leadership classes. They push you to the max, don't they?
Yep. Yeah.
So what did you sing? Oh, you said the fight song. I'm sorry.
Fly Eagles Fly.
Yeah. Sports stuff. Got it.
Yeah.
We need to teach you. So when you get a touchdown, how many points do you get?
You get 6, and then you kick a field goal, or you go for a 2-point conversion. I understand sports. I just don't care to watch them. I'm from Texas. I know football.
Well, good.
It's the state pastime, I think.
Yep. What part of Texas are you in?
I am outside of Dallas.
Okay. Okay. So if you were a football fan,
So if I
that's
was a football fan, I would probably have to be a Cowboy fan by default.
mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I have a good friend outside of Dallas I need to visit at some point.
Nice.
I'm
Oh, see,
hearing,
JR is singing it in the comments. He's bringing hygiene back.
yeah, the world needs more of it. We all got to do our part.
That's right. Are you about to sing, Ashley? Are you warm? Are you
No,
warming up your voice?
no, it's not happening. I have a great like speaking voice. It's calming, but my singing voice like shatters things.
I doubt it.
I promise. There was somebody once they're like, "You have such a nice speaking voice. Like you, there's no way that your singing voice is bad." I'm like, "I promise you it is." And then I did sing for them, and they're like, "Yeah, you're right." I'm like I know my limitations.
I mean, I'm just as bad, if not worse. So it was ugly today. It was very ugly. And I was in a public workspace and I had to try to avoid people.
Well,
And
at
I,
least it wasn't live streamed, right?
oh, well, yeah, I guess it wasn't public. It was recorded. So,
I'm trying to think of the quote from Elf where he talks about singing. He says something about like singing is like talking. I can't remember it. Damn. Well, what did he say? I don't remember.
Uses a different part of the brain. That's why, like, if you're bad with memorization, you do songs because it's a different part of the brain.
I did that in school a lot, like made little rhymes and songs and stuff just to kind of remember things.
It
mhm,
works.
It does work.
if you work it.
Oh, JR's trying to get me another job.
Yeah, to sing on the live stream.
I
JR,
can.
what does Ashley win if she sings on the live stream?
I have
What's her
boundaries, just so you
prize?
know.
You have boundaries? Oh,
Hmm.
come on.
And singing
We'll all
is
do it.
over that boundary.
I'm not a singer. I'll sing if you sing.
No,
No.
no. Sorry.
Mm-mm-mm.
It was a nice offer, though.
I'm waiting for JR to reply with what your prize. Oh, a chocolate cake.
I don't believe him. I've been asking for cake for weeks. Tell him I can either do the book club or I can sing. His choice.
Oh, book club, hands down.
There you go.
Well,
End of
start it.
discussion.
Start it.
All right, I'm in.
Love it.
There we go. There we go.
Decisions were made.
And it's
Yeah.
on and it's recorded, so we have proof that at 1 hour and 9 minutes, Ashley confirmed that she will indeed be starting a sober book club. Yet another
What's the first
job.
book?
I don't know. There's just so many good ones.
So, first book I read by Brene Brown. What should it be?
Daring greatly, since you're taking leadership classes.
Daring Greatly. I'm writing that down.
Then there's like a newer one that just came out. It's about language. And it's
Yeah, what's it? I feel like I've heard of it.
Atlas something.
Well, Daring Greatly, that's where I'm starting.
There you go.
Maybe that should be the first book for the book club.
Yeah,
First,
I'll
you
join.
the book club.
There you go.
Yeah.
I
You
guess
have your first member.
2 decisions made.
Yeah, I'll bring my homework. I'll bring a summary of what I've learned for each chapter. I'm in it.
So we got 2 overachievers on the show tonight.
See, I'm supposed to be reading this one. I haven't started it yet, though.
Real Men Do Cry. Who's on the cover?
It's the former Detroit Lions quarterback Eric Hipple.
See, I'm so bad at sports that those looked like Cowboys colors, and I was like, "Is that a Dallas Cowboy?"
That's what I thought at first.
I wonder.
Yeah.
I wonder if he knows
Mm.
Randy Grimes.
I bet they know each other.
They probably do.
Randy's my favorite.
Uncle Randy.
It's about his story of tackling depression and surviving suicide loss. So that's on my to-do list.
Yeah. Deep.
Well,
Comeback story.
yeah, and somebody was telling me, like it was for International Women's Day. They were saying, "What about men?" I'm like, "All right, let me read a book, about men because it's hard talking about mental health for males too." So that's my contribution when I start it.
Mm.
I haven't shown up yet for it, so
Yeah. Within one thing that's interesting with Sober Sidekick is that, well, I guess it's not that surprising, but it skews like slightly female. It's like about like a 60-40 split. And I think a lot of it is that, you know, women tend to have more courage when it comes to being vulnerable than men do. Um, you know, and I think that's like really interesting. Like I mean, it's motivation because like the goal is for everyone to feel safe being vulnerable. Um, but yeah, um, yeah,
see, I would have thought, just being me, is that it's an online platform. It's less
hmm
scary because
hmm
like a lot of women have issues. Like, I mean, men do too, but social anxiety and
hmm
just going to somewhere by themselves for the first time.
hmm
We go to the bathroom together, so it's like go
hmm
but being able to go to something that you don't have to necessarily show who you are. You don't have to look perfect. I would think
hmm
that would be a huge like motivator.
yeah,
So it's interesting how different people look at things differently.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm just trying to learn. Um, yeah, yeah, I'm not an expert in any area. I'm just, trying to observe and learn and gain new perspectives. So I'm really looking forward to checking out the Staring Greatly book and getting a perspective shift out of that. You know, I've never ever felt worse after completing a book. Uh, yeah, yeah.
Oh, well, you have to. I don't know. You learn and you grow, and
hmm
sometimes that stinks, and sometimes it's good, and it's all
Yeah,
good in the end.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Perspective is everything. So much to learn. So many wise people. Brene Brown, Edgar Tolle, so many people. You know, so much, so much good stuff to build off of, gain new perspectives, and yeah, sometimes like it's cool to see like what books people are talking about, like within Sober Sidekick too. Um, Seen some good things come out of that also. So love it.
All
Yeah, I
right.
was talking with a buddy of mine, and he was talking about it was actually a business podcast that he listens to, but he was saying one of his favorite segments is they ask the guest what's the most recent book that they've read, and then like what's the book that has had the most profound impact on your life. And I think that would be a cool segment to possibly add to our show,
Hmm.
stealing from other shows.
I was I was gonna ask him what book he's challenging me to read.
Oh,
What book? What book should I challenge you to read? Oh, have you read The Untethered Soul?
Nope.
Read it.
Guess that's okay.
Yeah,
I'm writing it down.
I literally read it for the first time in September, and by the time it was November, I had read it 4 times.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've only read one book multiple times.
Which
There's a
book?
few. Yeah, which book was that?
A Tree Grows in Brooklyn.
What's that about?
I'll let you Google it. It's got different meanings, and we could talk here for like a long time. But Google it. It's a great book. And I probably haven't read it in 15 years. So, you know, I'm a little rusty too, to tell you the truth. But I did read it like probably 5 times, 6 times.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Untethered Soul.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever read any book besides recovery literature more than once.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Recovery literature, that's like on repeat.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to do the readings. Yeah, they get in your head.
Yeah. Yeah. Memorize 86 to 88. That's not memorized anymore, but yeah. Yeah. A lot of, I mean, so much value there though. Like I always get something new out of it, even if I read like the same paragraph like 50 times before that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just like layers of the onion.
Yeah, I think it's like different times too. There's some things that I like see or read that wouldn't have meant like anything 2 days ago or 2 years ago, but then something happened today and it's like, huh.
Oh yeah. Yeah, life experiences, they just keep rolling.
Yep, and
How
we're here
about
to
you?
feel it all.
Yeah. Yeah. Feel the fear and do it anyway. That's another
Do it
that's
scared.
another book. Yeah. Brett, what do you have to recommend?
For books, I am the wrong person to ask about books.
I mean, you wouldn't be disqualified if you said like the big book. I don't know. Or
I feel like I should probably turn around and look at. I have a bookshelf behind me that has recovery literature and some memoirs and stuff. And
JR's telling you sober slogans.
I see that. I have that on my shelf. Let's see. Oh, that's the book that I read most recently was Party Girl by Anna David.
I've read Make Your Mess a Message or some one of her other books. I've never read Party Girl though.
Man, I have no idea. Like I said, I'm not the person. I'm not the president of the book club.
Can we come up with like a crappy title
Netflix,
like that?
If we could talk like Netflix or something, like I could recommend some stuff.
Have you watched that Euphoria thing?
I've watched part of it. The one I've been watching Single Drunk Female. That one's pretty interesting on Hulu.
Oh, Make Your Mess a Memoir. JR, thank you. You got my back.
I think we should also throw in the Addiction Manifesto by J.R. Weaver into the book rotation.
I have that book too.
I have it. I have still yet to read it. I've been asking him to make it into a audiobook, and he has not.
So he needs to read his book to you for you to read it. That's what you're saying.
I'm not saying that he himself has to be the narrator of his own audiobook. I'm just saying that it could be potentially helpful to others if it was in a audiobook format.
That's real manipulative. That was good.
Brett, you actually have a nice calming voice, so you could actually read it.
I appreciate
Good.
Oh,
that.
that's the best. That's the best one.
You could, yeah, just set your mic to record, or go on Facebook Live next week and just read the book,
Just read the entire book on
start to
live.
finish. Yeah, record it, and there we have it. Then you can listen to your own audiobook. So,
And you'll help somebody, like you said.
yeah, I vote for it. I'm for it.
Me too.
All
And there's
right.
only 3 of us, so you're voted out. Sorry, Brett.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
JR likes the idea of me reading his book as an audiobook.
JR likes all the ideas.
He does like all the ideas. I'm still waiting on the different desserts that he has promised to give us. Oh, and now we got David from Broken Chains chiming in, agreeing that I should also do JR's audiobook.
Got my shirt the other day.
Nice.
Yeah. 12 step. 12 step, Brett.
Sounds like I got another job.
Yep. And we're going to hold you accountable.
I don't have enough jobs. That's the problem. I just I just have too much free time. That's my main issue. Is like, man, I just don't have anything to do.
You said you get complacent. We're just trying to help you. Don't you hate when this crap happens?
Yeah.
Well, now we got to come up with we got to come up with a job for Chris now, because you're doing the book club. I'm doing an audiobook. Now we have to come up with a new job for Chris to do.
Me?
Yes, you. You're a part of this now, sir.
We have to bring the book club or a book club to Sober
Sober
Sidekicks. Yeah, that'll be a group.
Yeah.
Sidekick app.
Yeah,
we should
actually,
also do podcasts on the Sober Sidekick app.
we could. Yeah. Good. Yeah, and I love the book club idea. Like, and I could send out an invite to all our members, and they can hop in. Whoever's available can hop in a Zoom room and join your book club. I love that.
I think it's awesome too, because I know that when I first got into recovery, you know, certain meetings you didn't feel like you fit in, or certain things. I like talking about ideas and learning and growth, and it's so a book club is still recovery related activity, but yet we're using our minds and discussing different opinions and views, and I don't know, I like it.
Yeah, 100%. And there's so many books, even Brene. I mean, I haven't read Brene Brown, but so many books similar to that out there where they aren't directly related to sobriety, but when you read it, for me, recovery affects all aspects of life and change in perspective. And there's so many books that just feed recovery. Emotional sobriety, that's what it's about,
Yeah, any comeback story could be considered a recovery story, because process of change, that's our story started way before we got sober, so you can relate to anything.
100%. What do you have to add, Brett?
I'm just thinking about this audiobook that I have to record now.
You could sing it.
I'll sing the audiobook if I can get you to sing on the live stream. How about that?
Not happening.
Oh man, I guess I'm not going to sing the audiobook. Sorry, JR. Oh, we could have Carl turn it into a musical. You would probably enjoy that.
Oh, we'll let him sing.
Or like a DJ set or something. Yeah.
You're just lucky I'm talking, so you're not going to get me to sing.
It's a podcast. That's what it's all about, is talking.
The first time, how much did I talk?
Not a lot.
Okay, there you go. You're lucky I'm talking. Just be grateful.
Yes, ma'am. Awesome, guys. Well, do we want to wrap things up for the evening?
Well, I've had a great time getting to know both of you. It's really cool. I always love connecting with other people just like me in recovery, who are also of service, on a mission, and it's conversations like these that, help destigmatize, share empathy, share hope. So I'm honored, grateful to be included in today's conversation.
We're glad to have you on, man. It's great to meet you as well.
Yeah, it's been awesome. These conversations change people's lives. Like, talking about things really normalizes them and makes things okay.
100%. 100%. Yeah, yeah. And I really want to see when you get that book club going, it would be cool to kind of have that as a resource our members could join also. So would
Definitely.
love that.
JR, that's your job. You're gonna let him know when I get it started.
I want you.
Nice.
We have to give JR a job because he gives us a lot.
Mhm.
He'll give it back to me. Don't worry. That's how this works, right, Brett?
That's right. JR, I think JR's job is just to tell other people that they have one job.
And then get more ideas, and then tell us that
And then
that's our job too. Yeah.
Assign
Yeah.
them to other people. Yes, that is JR's job. JR is the dreamer, and he's not the only one. Awesome. So, as a recap, in case you've been asleep for the last hour and a half, the app is called Sober Sidekick, and that's what the logo looks like. So, if you're looking for the Sober Sidekick app in your app store, whether that be Apple or Android, that's what it looks like. We are still doing the t-shirt design contest for Broken Chains Apparel, so there's still time to submit designs and vote on the designs that have already been submitted. So if that's something you are interested in, I believe that post is still pinned to the top of the Facebook page. If not, I think we have links. There'll be a link in the description of this video and stuff. If you would like to leave us a voice message, you can send your voice messages to speak to us/RRL. If you are joining us tonight on YouTube, please remember to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you know when we go live, which is every Thursday at 8 Eastern, 7 Central. And you have any other closing thoughts, Ashley?
No, we're just glad everyone's here. Grateful you're here.
Absolutely. We're glad everyone joined us tonight. Grateful for our guest, Chris, who came on and shared part of his story and told us about his awesome app called the Sober Sidekick. And hopefully, I will be able to figure out my login so I can rejoin the community on the Sober Sidekick, or maybe I'll just start a new account. We'll see. We'll
No,
see where the night takes
I'll
us.
get you. I'll get you back in. Don't worry, I got you. I got your back.
It, I
Got your
appreciate
back.
it, man. Awesome, guys. Well, as always, I guess I'll close with my closing line. It's all about there I am, like stumbling over my own words. It's ridiculous.
I do that
It
all the
kind
time
of
too.
well, and it kind of goes hand in hand with what I was gonna say anyway. It's progress, not perfection. See, I couldn't even say it right. So it's kind of ironic that I'm talking about progress and not perfection and messing that up. So. Anyway, I hope everybody has a great night and joins us again next Thursday for another episode of Recovery Revolution Live.